In December 2025, I had the pleasure of attending Miami Art Week for the first time ever. While I was there, I attended Art Basel, the main fair, five satellite art fairs, six art talks, two pop-up shows in the design district. I visited an art complex and toured their open studios and visited with artists. And I also went to the Bass Museum. My goal when I was there was to discover art that really excited me, primarily focusing on work by people of color as well as female artists. This presentation is going to share my experiences with you in a roughly chronological order. Miami Art Week is now in its 23rd year, and it is anchored by Art Basel. Now, I attended five satellite fairs, but the fair actually features over 20 satellite fairs. The first fair I attended was Scope, and I am pleased to let you know that the reason I went to Miami was because I had a painting on exhibit there in a booth with the Billis Williams Gallery. So at Scope, you can see it's a giant tent located right on the beach, and it's huge. There's over 90 galleries from more than 18 countries, and the theme was Be Here Now. When you first enter the tent, you're greeted by this amazing pyramid made of Coleman coolers that are spray painted gold. Now, this was created by Victor Mark 27 Quinones, and it's a reimagined Mayan pyramid. And inside the coolers, as you can see here in the close-up images, there are spiritual as well as cultural objects. And he's celebrating immigrant communities and paying an homage to New York City street vendors. So entering Scope, you immediately are greeted by booths that are full of stunning artwork. Now, that piece you see right on the wall is made of lots of tree toppers. They're all stars for the top of Christmas trees, and it would light up at times. Now, down that hall, if you go down quite far, this is the booth from the Billis Williams Gallery, and this was my painting that was on exhibit, and it was titled Ground Control, and it features an amusement park ride from Disneyland. One of the most stunning works in Scope was this beautiful painting by Caribbean artist Alexandria Robinson called The Sound of Release. I also love these paintings exhibited in the same booth by Caribbean artist Alexandria Robinson, and they incorporate sea fans into the paintings. This booth was really the only booth that was hung in a salon style with paintings, floor and prints, floor to ceiling. Here you can see some of the work of Shepard Fairey. I discovered the work of Alex Garrett, who does these multiple images, and was quite excited by her work. That one's called Cry Baby Girl. I love this work by James Reyes, and you can see some mythological creatures from his culture in his paintings. This work was really, for me, the most surprising. And the whole thing was made of dollar bills that are cut apart and collaged together, creating these very striking political and cultural statements from my hometown, Philadelphia. At Scope, they held a series of art talks, and I attended a couple. This one featured Devin Vandervoort, and she's an art dealer. And this is Unique Fair, who's an artist and an instructor, and he created these paintings. The sitters, his sitters, He loves to involve them with how they're portrayed. So they have input as far as what they're going to wear and how they're going to sit and how they're going to pose. And then he likes to revisit them after they've experienced some life changes. Now, being an educator, he shared his views on education with us. He felt that students should focus on developing their craft within academia rather than try to start to sell their work too soon. Uh, it's challenging to market their work while they're still learning, and it's crucial to learn to publicly articulate one's own work before you enter um, the art world and begin selling. He felt academia should provide real-world experiences as well as foster community, especially in smaller towns. This whole idea about fostering community was something that I heard many times during the talks that I attended during Miami Art Week. Gaining practical experience is more important before investing in advanced degrees. So when he teaches his undergraduate students, he advises them to take some time off before entering grad school to get some life experience. He felt that university and college museums and galleries should aim to be more inclusive and acceptable, and more collaboration is needed with K through 12 schools, bringing local students onto campuses for gallery tours and artist talks. I was happy to reflect that our gallery at Fullerton College, where I'm a professor, does this regularly. So I felt really good about that. He feels that social media can help break down museum barriers and allow artists to build consistent portfolios, engage with their peers and institutions, and amplify their presence through reposting and tagging. So he had a very positive spin on social media. While I was in Miami, I wanted to think up some great question that I could ask several artists that I met. And the question I came up with is the question I came up with is this. What do you wish you had known when you were a young artist? I asked Unique Fair this, and here is his answer.
So I have a question for you. What do you wish you had known when you were a kid?
When I was a young artist, if I could have known something different, it would have been being comfortable swinging for the fences. Often, when you're a younger artist, sometimes you're anxious about, oh, is this going to go well? Are people going to like it? How does that work? And if I could, I'd go back and tell myself to just swing for it, to strive for things. Because regardless of if you land it or if it goes the way you want, the intentionality of doing that offers so much value that I found in later in college and in my master's program. So giving myself the freedom to make those choices. I really push myself to be the fullest, most active version of this. To be truthful is the best way to work it.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next artist talk I attended was called Realism Through an Innovative Visual Mythology, and it focused on the work of this man here, O'Neill Scott, and his gallerist, Tanya Whittemire. Now, I did try to go talk to O'Neill afterwards, but unfortunately, he was swamped with visitors at his booth. Later, I was able to say hello to him on social media and connect that way. Now, O'Neill took classes at Syracuse University, but didn't earn a degree because he was a football player and was too busy with sports. He then traveled to Philadelphia and studied at Studio Incaminati, and that is a studio where they teach traditional drawing and painting techniques. As you can see, he uses a naturalistic color palette. He hopes his art will endure and provoke lasting questions, much like books. I loved thinking about paintings like books. Um, Again, community and collective power are central to his work. I said that theme of community comes up again and again. His people, the people in his paintings are people he knows. And in his work, he reflects on personal as well as societal themes. This piece was actually one that I loved. There's an image of it behind Tanya O'Neill, and it's a Black woman in a suit of armor. And what you can't see is she's holding a coffee cup. And I just love the symbolism of that. So he has fragmented visuals that represent his memories and human thoughts, and we, the viewer, kind of fill in the gap. Now, this piece over here I really related to as well. I lived in South Carolina for a time and had gone through Hurricane Hugo, and O'Neill grew up in Jamaica, where he experienced Hurricane Gilbert. And the painting on the right, he titles Hurricane Andrew, and he highlights the calm and the resilience of the people amidst climate change, as well as the Black diaspora. Now, Art Basel isn't all viewing art. It's a full experience. And when I was flying over to Miami, I overheard people talking about all the suitcases they packed with all the parties, all the clothes that they were going to wear to all the different parties. I knew that wasn't going to be my experience, uh, but I was invited to attend, as all the artists who showed at Scope were invited to attend a party there. And CeeLo Green was the entertainment. Unfortunately, he came on way too late, way past my bedtime, so I missed him. But this just gives you an idea about the vibe at Miami Art Week after dark. The next fair that I visited was called Untitled Art. Now, this fair was a little bit bigger than Scope, and it was a few blocks away, again, on the beach. There's over 100 galleries from 29 countries, and this is one of the more internationally diverse fairs. I was astounded by these graphite walls. And if you look closely, you can see the incredible detail of the palm trees and the ivy, and they were just absolutely stunning, done by Carlos Rolón. These paintings just caught my eye. I thought they were absolutely fantastic, by Lian Xu. And this piece was huge. I think it probably was maybe 8 feet by 8 feet, and the entire thing is, as you can see from the video, made from beads that were woven together. This piece attracted quite a bit of attention. You thought it was a painting when you first looked at it, but when you got close, you could see that it has this three-dimensional quality. And I looked up to see how Antonio Satin created the work and found this video on Instagram. So I thought that was fascinating how he made that painting. My guess is the way he gets the shading in here is perhaps he uses transparent glazes on top of the paint, but that's just me thinking and trying to figure it out. This booth was absolutely stunning. The work by Natalia Osarin, who is an artist from London. Now, what she does is she creates these clay. She uses different color clay and creates sculptures in clay, which she then paints. And in her work, and this was an amazing piece, a very large painting that she did of a sculpture, and this is actually a photo of the painting. There's a playfulness and unease that addresses mental health, body image, as well as the illusion of freedom in our consumer society. The carousel is cycling through scenes of educational control, digital dependence, anxiety, and if you look carefully, there's a skeleton back there, even death. Money becomes an anesthetic. The figures are gagged and blinded by it. And what appears to be moving around in a colorful circle, these characters are in fact trapped in this cycle. So the work, so profoundly moving but playful at the same time. I was quite impactful. Then I was so excited to run into April Bay, who was our Fullerton College Artist in Residence in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. In fact, we all went out to a celebratory dinner with her the Thursday, and then Friday, the world closed down. but she is creating some amazing work. She's originally from the Bahamas, and her work is both introspective and a social critique of American and Bahamian culture, pop culture, feminism, generational theory, social media, Afrofuturism, Afro-surrealism, post-colonialism, and race constructs within supremacist society. She also loves Star Trek. And that was April, and it was so good to see her again. The next fair I was off to, now look, this didn't all happen in one day. This is all spread over 4 days, but it is in roughly a chronological manner. Right across from Art Basel is Design Miami. And this show was absolutely stunning. As you can see, it's the 20th year for Design Miami. Their theme was Make Believe. I love that. Focused on avant-garde design, celebrating design visionaries of the past, present, and future. So when you enter, to your left are these wonderful sculptures by Ukrainian artist, architect, and designer Victoria Yakushua. And this creature here, I can't pronounce its name, but what it means is the one that creates miracles. So I love the whimsy in this piece. I got to meet this artist. Her name was Jennifer Trask. I was photographing her amazing sculpture, and she introduced herself to me. Um, she is inspired by biology, archaeology, and art history. And she let me know that her work was entirely made with, as you can see, antlers and bones. The flowers are made of bones. She also incorporates bits of antique frame fragments. Her work explores the tension between life and death, nature and artifice. These are just some stunning booths that I saw. And up in the center here is the Arquitectura cabinet in the center, which is a collaboration between a designer and an architect, originally designed in about 1951. And to the right was the work from the Mindy Solomon Gallery from Miami. Um, you know, my mother loved glass, and she loved to collect Scandinavian glass because she was Swedish. So this booth reminded me of her, and I love this quote: "The world moves without end. Glass and art remember what the eye forgets. A burst of water, a fragment of sky, in glass, time holds its breath." Las Vit is a bohemian design and artisan house in the Czech Republic, and the work was just simply stunning. Then I had the pleasure, absolute pleasure, of meeting Kate Malone, who's a ceramic artist from London. And I asked her my question: what do you wish you had known when you were a young artist?
What do you wish you had known as a young artist? As a young artist, I dreamt that I would be an artist, but I didn't know I could. So what do I wish I'd known? I think I wished I'd known, well, I am an artist and it works. So I think if I know, it's the hard work. I think I wished, and I know that I'm a hard worker naturally. So I didn't know how hard it would be, but I'm naturally hard working. And so that was great because you really have to put in hard work. So you focus and learning about your subjects, because the more the more your hands are able to do, the more you have vocabulary as an artist. And I knew it would be. I didn't think about it. I don't think would I live in the moment. Yeah. And I think I know now it's the joy in the work that shows. Yes. So if you're enjoying it, absolutely. And it's like this invisible joy that nobody can see when you're making, because they see and it gets infused. Yeah, and that's communicated through. So, but I mean, yeah, I think it's quite good not to know a lot, but to be ready to go for it. Yeah. And just to follow your dreams, actually. Thank you so much.
The thrill of the entire week, most likely, besides seeing my painting on display at Scope was to find the work of Katie Stout. Now, I used to teach with Katie Stout's mom at Ridge High School in New Jersey, and I remember Katie when she was in middle school and high school. And anyway, later she went on to be on TV on a design show sponsored by Ellen DeGeneres, and she became actually quite famous. She created this wonderful, whimsical carousel that was the centerpiece of Design Miami. Here you can see all the mirrors that are reflected around it on the walls. And this is another view where I'm riding on yet another creature, where the mirrors are to your back and you're kind of looking out here into the hallway. Now, you can see bicycle pedals, and if you pedal, that makes the carousel turn around. And this is a bench that Katie also created. Okay, so one of the days I ventured onto the mainland. Now, I stayed in South Beach, and I stayed very close to where my art fair was, where Scope was. But I ventured off and I took an Uber over to the mainland. And what I did was I visited the design district because Katie Stout had an installation there of more sculptures, and I really wanted to see them. Then I went to the Bakehouse Art Complex to view artist studios. And then I went to NADA, which is New Art Dealers Association. So these are my adventures in Miami. Okay, so first stop was to see the amazing sculptures of Katie Stout that were installed in the design district. This is a really a very fancy district with upscale stores, which is kind of putting it mildly, including Christian Dior and Tiffany's. Now, unfortunately, I did not get to see Katie while I was there. I texted her, but of course she was very busy. I think she was actually out to dinner with the staff from Tiffany's when I texted her. And here's a quote from Katie. I'm interested in the point where something becomes really awful or just kind of awful. That line between kitsch and art, ugly and beautiful. And these are called Gargantua's thumb sculptures. Okay. Oh, the other thing I did when I was in the design district is I attended a pop-up show that was presented by Jeffrey Deitch called That Was Then, This Is Now, and featuring a lot of young artists, primarily from the West Coast. You can see this painting here is done made to look like the back of a bus. Okay, so you can see the tail lights of the bus and the doorway of the bus. And it says serving Florida seniors, and then there's lots of seniors being very active. So for over 2 decades, Jeffrey Deitch has organized pop-ups during Miami Art Week. And this one was organized by American Art Projects, headed by a Deitch Associate Director, William Krogan, and his partner, Benno Tubesing. These are some paintings I just loved. This was by Liza Lowe. Eilers, What to Expect When You're Expecting. And this one was done on the hood of a car, and it was by Ozzy Juarez from LA. I thought this painting was really quite stunning by Michael Alvarez. This entire room on the left features work of young Mexican American artists, and I love seeing the representation there. These are probably three of my favorites in the show, all done by female artists. The one on the left by Hannah Torrens from New York. In the center, Zoe Blue M from LA. And on the right by Layla Faye. Then it was off to the Bakehouse Art Complex. Now, this used to be a bakery many, many years ago. And it's now been a nonprofit art organization for 40 years. There's over 100 resident and associate artists from diverse cultures. And there's a whole range of artistic practices in there too. They offer affordable studios as well as artist residency programs. And they also fed us brunch, which was very nice. I had the absolute pleasure to visit Leo Castaneda's studio. He's an artist that works, he creates digital games, he makes oil paintings. You can see on this photo on the wall all of his sketches. And I was really blown away by his work. And then later, after I got home, a month later or so, I saw that his work is now included in the Whitney Biennial. So he was asked to create a work. He was commissioned, and he created Camouflux Recall Grotto. So his work's inspired by Brazilian Amazon rainforest, as well as the Everglades in Florida, and works by Colombian artists, since that is part of his heritage. And in the digital work that he created, people examine processes of growth in a technology-driven ecosystem. He also designed this crazy chair. Yeah, absolutely stunning. I also so excited to meet and to see the work of Susan Alvarez. And she lives in Miami now and has a studio at the Bakehouse. And her colorful work was so vibrant. This one was in a show. At the Bakehouse has a gallery, and that was in the show. And this is Susie in her studio. Here's a quote from Susie. Being raised Cuban, Vietnamese, and Jewish has ingrained in me all the values of their celebrations and forms of ornamentation. The holidays I celebrated with my family as a child were spaces of joy and love. The lion dance during Lunar New Year in particular stuck with me as proof that the world is full of fantastical creatures and events, all of which deeply influenced my craft. Then I found the M. Florentine, I don't know if I can say her name very well, Demosthene. Not very good with French words. And again, her work was just so stunning, and I knew that it was rooted in spirituality. And what I learned was she incorporates West African and Haitian mythological references. She's particularly interested in the myth of the twins, who serve as intermediaries between the mundane and the spiritual. She sees the body as a site of transformation and cosmic connection. She uses herself as a model. So she poses and then takes photos of herself, and then does these gorgeous paintings. And they're very kind of watery and runny, and she does them on Mylar. And I love this quote from M. Florine. I express the idea that we as human beings contain multitudes. And I think her art really shows that. And yes, I asked her the question.
So, what do you wish you had known when you were a younger artist? What I wish I knew, I wish I had, that the sheer strength it takes to really succeed as an artist. I think I really underestimated that. The commitment that it takes and the sheer dedication that it takes. That's the thing that I wish I knew in advance. I sort of thought I knew it leaving undergrad and grad, but I think when you get out into the world of art and you're in your own studio and you're working by yourself, like the level of commitment you have to sustain the practice. That's the one thing I wish I was able to have somebody really walk me through that.
It's so much more difficult when you're out on your own.
Oh, yeah, definitely
You don't
difficult.
have that support, built-in support that academia gives.
Yeah, academia gives you so much support,
Mhm.
and I'm glad I really took advantage of it. No exaggeration.
Yeah.
Like from the technical help, just being able to talk to other artists at times. Sometimes I find like artists don't tell you the full story, so you don't really know what's going on.
They don't want to know
No, how hard it is, right? And then you'll have a little powwow, and then everybody's going through the same issues. So that was the only thing I probably wish was that I was able to walk through some of that, and it would have like made me a little bit more mentally stronger to work through some of the life things, that I had to deal with.
Makes sense. Thank you. Okay, on to the next show. This is the New Art Dealers Alliance. And in this show, it primarily focuses on new voices in contemporary art featuring young galleries and young artists. I came to NADA on a mission to find an artwork by our newest professor, Ryan Flores. And I did find it, and there it is. So he's with the Moskowitz Basie Gallery from LA. And this is a ceramic sculpture. His work hovers between seduction and repulsion, the promise of bounty and sustenance, while equally offering rot, decay, and spoilage. The multiple firings approximate the processes of cellular death inherent to food spoilage. And he is thematically as well as formally linked to traditions of still life painting as carriers of coded meaning. So I was so excited to find his work there. And it was really kind of like a scavenger hunt, hunting all over to find his gallery and his work. I'm working on paintings of amusement park rides and at night with the light stream shining through the darkness. So I'm particularly attracted to work that has this luminous quality. And I loved these digital works by Jason Markovic and this glorious painting by Eric Deal. And ironically, I later was talking to my gallerist back at Scope, showing her the work of Eric Deal and telling her how much I liked it. And she said, that's really funny because he was just here admiring my work. So that happened. Not a whole lot of people paint roller coasters. I've been painting them since 2002. And I found one other roller coaster painter out of thousands of artworks that I viewed in Miami Art Week. And I was really stunned by the intricacy of these imagined roller coaster structures by Alex Hunton. And then I was thrilled to see that while I was at NADA, they were holding a talk, and the talk was Making Meaning, Art and Education. I thought, why, perfect, I'm sitting in on this. And here's what they talked about. The first question the panelists were asked was, what art encounters of the youth changed their world? One person said Vogue magazines and movie posters, and another loved museum free days, which felt like an extension of the playground. They stress that education should offer belonging and engagement, not just rules. This is something that at Fullerton College we stress to helping our students to feel that sense of belonging. So I was pleased to see people are talking about that. Collaborative environments and trust are crucial, as is valuing time and space for collective thought. Institutions have a responsibility to honor Black visual culture. Museum curation can foster visitor belonging, and community projects can support people affected by gentrifications. Initiatives like artist residencies at NYU provide resources for creative thinking and build trust-based cultures rooted in intention and care. Okay, then I needed to get back to Miami Beach. And during Art Week, free transportation was offered. And this was absolutely delightful. I took a water taxi over back to Miami Beach, and then a free shuttle bus arriving at the main fair at Art Basel. It was huge, unbelievably huge. Held in the Miami Beach Convention Center, over 280 galleries from more than 40 countries from all 5 continents. It's a massive cultural hub, attracting over 80,000 visitors annually. So a little background, the original Art Basel started in Basel, Switzerland in 1970, and it was launched by Swiss gallerists who wanted to attract new art buyers and collectors. The first fair in Switzerland began with 90 galleries and drew more than 16,000 attendees. And this is the 23rd year of Art Basel, Miami Beach. The movie you see is sort of the central meeting hub, and there's, there's restaurants, not restaurants, but there's places to get food and beverages, and it's a really wonderful social place. And upstairs, they also hold artist talks. Now, one of the things that I realized straight away when I entered Art Basel was that we were in a higher realm here. These are many blue chip galleries. The galleries have to pay fees to exhibit at the different art fairs, and there's different tiers. And so Art Basel is the top tier, and the art galleries are paying top dollar to exhibit there. So at this fair, I saw work of master artists from the secondary market. I have been a huge fan of James Rosenquist's work for many, many years, and this was a gigantic work, probably, oh my gosh, maybe 8 feet tall, and you can guess how long it was, maybe 16 feet long, probably more, maybe 20 feet long. And just to be able to get up close and study the brush strokes and how he created the painting was really just thrilling. There was other work there by Andrew Wyeth, Thomas Hart Benton, Edward Hopper, and it kind of goes on and on. Now, I'm not going to include those slides in my presentation because I was mostly focused on discovering work that I hadn't seen before by by people of color as well as female artists, so the underrepresented in the art world. Um, so that was my main focus. So that's why I'm not including all the amazing secondary market work that I saw. Okay, so this piece was just absolutely stunning. And I believe it was painted on aluminum, so it had a really slick finish by Raul Cordero. I loved these works by female artists exhibited by Herschel and Adler Gallery. Now, the close-up that I'm showing you is this little tiny section right in there on that painting. Absolutely amazing. Mark Dennis is an artist that lives in New York and is exhibited at Anat Egby Gallery, and his paintings are absolutely stunning. He calls this model from a famous Ingres painting, his imaginary girlfriend, and his brushwork is really quite phenomenal. So you might have noticed by now, I am attracted to stellar technique. I tend to be more interested in realism since I am a representational painting. And I did mention before that I like to see light glowing from the darkness, which both of these glorious paintings have here. Now, again, this is from Anat Egby Gallery. This is a work by Mi-Son Pei, a LA artist, called Soft Landscape, evoking the body and its ongoing relationship to technology. She began painting when her younger brother was in the hospital and very, very ill. So a lot of her work kind of references the fusion of cellular with machines. This artist I had never seen before, Alvin Ong. It's called Firefly. He lives and works between Singapore and London, capturing the rituals of queer diasporic identity with this work. And then I ran into Clara Liu. Now, I have never met Clara Liu in person, but I know her well from online. And she is an art educator and writer. She has a program that's called Art Prof. So basically, she spent 16 years in academia and taught at the Rhode Island School of Design as an adjunct professor. She became frustrated with the lack of access to art education for so many and the elitist attitudes prevalent in academia, as well as the exploitation of adjunct faculty. And then finally, she left academia for good about 6 years ago to focus on Art Prof. And her online platform offers high education, high quality art education and community to people that, may not be able to afford to attend art school, or they may be somewhere where there's no art schools that they can access. So she was the last person that I asked my question to.
Sarah, what do you wish you had known as a young artist?
That there are going to be years where nothing happens professionally. And it's just you making your work. And that's okay. We don't have to have milestones happening all the time. Because when I was younger, I used to think, once I get that thing, yeah, I'll be good.
Yeah.
But you never are. It's never enough.
That is true. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, profound comments about how hard the work is, but also how meaningful it is. And if you are an artist, it's really something that you need to do to feel whole and to feel connected and to connect to others. This was a glorious piece, this huge installation by an artist who was born in Malaysia and now spends her time between Malaysia and New York. And it's a traditional Malaysian pua kumba weaving, but it's combined with everyday objects, including garden rakes, toy swords, beads, plastic trinkets. The sculpture acts as a tribute to the artist's family and to her cultural memory. These paintings were quite amazing, and they are by Hugo Crosthwaite, and he's represented by the Luis de Jesus Gallery in LA. He was born in Tijuana. This was a hilarious installation. So American artist Beeple, Mike Winkelmann, created it. And what he did was he took these robot dogs and he put heads of people, including Andy Warhol. I don't think Andy Warhol's in this shot, but you can see Jeff Bezos over there. And Elon Musk is right here. And apparently these bots were taking photos of fairgoers and substituted code linked to a free NFT. There's Picasso sitting right there. And that's Andy Warhol right there. Anyway, this installation, it went viral on social media during Art Basel. This booth was my personal favorite at Art Basel. I loved how they had it set up, and this gallery's in Munich. And so they brought the lounge chairs, and so appropriate for these stunning paintings of invented pools. I got to see the work of Kehinde Wiley. There were several of Kehinde's large paintings there. I had the pleasure of meeting Kehinde many, many years ago, before he became famous for painting President Obama. And it was wonderful to see his work in person. Also, I found the work of Omoako Boafo, who's a Ghanaian artist, and this one's called Shirt of Feathers. You can see the birds on the shirt. Now, his luminous portraits make and hold space for Black joy, subjectivity, and self-determination. And if you're wondering about how he creates these paintings, he uses his fingers to paint his sitters' unique gazes, poses, and dress. So yes, these are painted finger paintings. Amazing. Now, I searched out the work of Maria Kren. I had seen her work online and really admired it, and really just beautiful in person. And these are these kind of surreal landscapes. Now, the gallery that was showing her work, Weinstein Gallery, Kren was the first living artist the gallerist has shown in 2 decades. They normally show women surreal, they champion women artists and they show a lot of surreal work, but it's all estate work and the secondary market. So this was a big change for that gallery to exhibit a living artist's work. You can see the stormy surreal landscapes influenced by her studies in mathematics and philosophy, as well as the paintings of J.M.W. Turner. And here's a quote from Maria. What brings me to painting and drawing is the focused energy of a timeless story spatially wrapped into that single moment. It's about looking at the vastness of our life slowly and deeply and connecting our heart back into our ecstatic and tragic shared experience. This just shows you the massiveness, absolute massiveness of this fair. You absolutely cannot see everything in one day. I don't even think you could see the whole thing in 2 days. I'm not even sure you could see the whole thing at all. So I just kind of did what I could, walked around, and when a artwork really attracted me, I would just kind of go to that and enjoy it for a while. So I think that was my trick, just try not to see everything, but enjoy what I was seeing. So I went upstairs, and that's where they were holding these conversations. This one was about building the future of the art world. And one of the panelists, Andras, he created a new book that analyzes art ecosystems, and readers can interact with it via AI. Larissa Buchholz, who's a professor from Northwestern, studies art world globalization and the shrinking role of small galleries amid economic pressures and expensive art fairs. And she suggests peer-to-peer collaboration among different sized galleries and notes the importance of social media's rise over traditional gallery development for artists. Pablo, who is a curator from the Guggenheim, emphasizes the growing Latin population in the U.S. and efforts to support artist initiatives and community growth in Central and South America. Mia Locke, who's the director of Museums Moving Forward in LA, examines institutional health. She's concerned that most museum workers are millennials or Gen Z. They're not making a living wage. Unionization is rising. Diversity of museum workers is increasing. Only the smallest museums report high job satisfactions, and museums must change. They need to innovate and start paying living wages to remain relevant. These panelists all observed that younger collectors are now seeking cultural alignment and real experiences, while the elites value networking through the art world. The next talk that I attended was How Black Collectors Are Reshaping Philanthropy. Joyce Simmons, who's a doctor, began collecting art in the 1970s when opportunities for Black artists were scarce. And she noted how the internet has helped amplify Black voices. She emphasized that her community's role in supporting institutions that reflect their values and broadening Black representation in art museums. Victoria, who's on the board of the Brooklyn Museum and the Studio Museum in Harlem, highlights past discomfort for Black people in cultural spaces and stresses supporting leadership, feeling valued beyond mere representation, and volunteering with local organizations. She's going to be participating in the Black Trustee Alliance, which will meet in Atlanta to discuss strategies for addressing oppression based on the analysis of data. Thomas, who's an art collector, philanthropist, and the executive director of American Friends of the Louvre, adds that mentorship and giving back through churches are impactful ways that people can create change without significant funding. The final conversation I attended was Writing History Now, Art, Memory, and the Shaping of the Present. Anne, who's the Director of Archives of American Art at the Smithsonian, encourages artists, scholars, and curators to use their resources, value stories as national heritage. She publishes a journal and promotes archival practices that bridge gaps, supporting artists, fellowships, including international collaborations, and she highlights art projects with incarcerated individuals. Sandra, who's a curator, educator, and a cultural strategist from LA, critiques society for discouraging critical thinking and monetizing ignorance. This raises concerns about education and art facing challenges under our current administration, emphasizing the importance of maintaining personal archives. All of them agree that caring for archives and sharing stories is essential for understanding identity and history. I have a short part of the talk that I'd like to share with you by Hank Willis Thomas, who is an artist from New York, and you'll see an image of one of his works.
Even on the surface, between a woodblock print by Aaron Douglas, where the pyramids are in the background and a figure is laying by what could be perceived as the Nile, and then Roy Lichtenstein's pyramids, which were also represented, are the other images. And I was really interested in this kind of, and inspired by Langston Hughes' poem, I've Known Rivers. And I'm thinking about the river of time. So this is kind of a detailed shot, the rivers of time, the stories that happen along the river, these art objects and artifacts and architectural wonders, and the human spirit that kind of made them what they were, and like the souls of those stories, and thinking about us in these moments creating histories that we don't know how they'll be affecting and shaping the future. And so I'm really interested also in how people gather for a movement. Whether it be something that I'm for or something I'm against, this idea of getting people to come together for a cause that you believe is important is actually performance, right? We perform this is important by coming out together and saying this is how we change the world. If we're not trying to do it through killing other people, this is how we do it. And I'm really just fascinated with that. So I use my work as a way for me to learn, and also hopefully make these connections that future people will be like, oh yeah, Lichtenstein and Aaron Douglas and Langston Hughes, of course they go together. What else? What other stories can we learn about?
Okay, then I was off to Aqua Art Miami. Now, Aqua Art is held in a hotel, and it showcases fresh artist work in intimate exhibition rooms. By that, it means the artist's work is shown in the actual motel rooms. And this motel is also a typical Miami Beach Art Deco style, which is just kind of awesome. This is the atrium of the hotel. As you can see, there's a couple floors, and all the rooms are lined up on each side. My absolute favorite gallery on display at Aqua Art was Arch Enemy Arts. Now, it's a Philadelphia gallery, my hometown, founded in 2012. And their curation focuses on representational drawing, painting, and sculpture with an emphasis in lowbrow, pop surrealism, magical realism, and post-graffiti genres. They were named Philly's favorite art gallery in 2025 by the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is the newspaper. These are a couple of my favorite paintings that were in their exhibit. The one on the left is by Rachel Bridge from New Jersey, who uses horror to depict complexities of the human psyche. Now, she poses these paintings on her own, uses models and places all the flowers, and has the different lightings. And her hyper-realistic oil portraits lead viewers into candlelit chambers, stagnant baths, and starry nights. And it's just stunning. This is the painting. Okay, and this is the model that artist Molly Gruninger from Nashville created. So she takes a mannequin head and then she uses modeling clay, and then she paints the modeling clay, and she takes photographs of her sculptures, and then she paints from the photographs. And she explains, I wanted to dive into the overwhelming influence felt by the onslaught of misinformation and how it's shaping our inability to trust what we see and hear. I was inspired by the explosion of AI, the disconnect between what's real and imagined, and the distorted transformation of ideas. My final visit was to the Bass Museum of Art. Now, I mostly went there to see an installation by Assume Vivid Astrofocus. And this is his 11th installation. It has been on view at the Bass Museum for about a year. And it's a collaborative work that brings together individual pieces by Assume Vivid Astrofocus, which is the name of an artist, as well as an array of other artists that worked with him. He's from Sao Paulo, and his multidisciplinary art collective fuses drawing, sculpture, video, and performance into large-scale installations and happening where gender, politics, and cultural codes freely interact. Now, this was originally installed at the home of Miami-based collectors Rosa and Carlos de la Cruz during the 2004 edition of Art Basel Miami Beach. And it brought the community together with a sense of excitement in the local art scene and signaling Miami as the new global contemporary art destination. Assume Vivid Astrofocus created a new mural for this reinstallation that pays tribute to local drag performers. And here on the back wall, you can see the faces of the local drag performers that I've named right there. Okay, here's a couple videos I just want to play so you have some idea of the experience of this installation. The final art piece that I'm going to share with you is from a show called The Kaleidoscopic, Writing Histories Through the Collection, and it featured art from the collection of the Bass Museum. This particular work with the yellow flowers strewn on the floor was by Emma Ree from Miami. He's a queer identified Cuban American who explores the memory, growth, and the evolution of materials. This artist draws from their experience with learning disabilities and navigating sometimes non-conforming community identities. On the right, you can see a close-up of some of the brushwork that's right about in there, and just the light glowing from the canvas and the expressive brushwork was stunning. So thank you to Miami and to all the amazing work that went into not only creating all the artwork, but putting together these shows. For me, it was the experience of a lifetime. I think at some point, every artist should make a pilgrimage and get to Miami Art Week just to experience more art than you have ever seen in your entire life, all in one place. I also want to send a special thank you to Fullerton College and the Professional Learning Committee who helped provide funding for this trip. It truly was an amazing learning experience. And I also want to thank Tressa Williams, who is my gallerist at Billis Williams, and for her hospitality and for her support.